Hi, I'm Andrew from Cruisemaster and welcome to CruisemasterClass. Today I'm going to be going into the complexities of wheel mounting, in particular hub-centric versus stud-centric location. So the main thing we want to talk about today is hub-centric versus stud-centric location. And the aim of the game there is how we're centralizing the wheel and tyre onto the drum or hub. If we don't centralize it properly, you're going to get vibration and potentially the wheel is going to become loose on the drum, which could cause the wheel to come off, shear studs, all that type of thing. So I just wanted to go into a bit of detail on that. Typically on a OE vehicle, like a Land Cruiser and things like that, the concentricity between the wheel and the drum will be handled by a hub-centric location. And what that means is there's a nicely machined center bore in your wheel, which matches with what we at Cruisemaster here call a spigot, and those things locate on one another. The wheel nuts are then done up. So the wheel nut's job is purely to produce friction between the rim and the drum to absorb all the impacts along the way. The location between those two components, as I said earlier, is purely about locating them so everything's nicely in balance. In extreme circumstances, so you hit a massive washout or a rock or something like that, it will allow the wheel to move a little bit and load up the spigot so it doesn't put the stud into shear and potentially break the stud. On the other side of the table here is what we call stud-centric. So clearly this is being centered by the studs. And it does that by using a taper on the wheel nut. So you get a taper on the wheel nut and a taper in the nut seat on the wheel, which centralizes everything. It's not as accurate as a hub-centric, that's why OE vehicles use it, but it's pretty common in the aftermarket side of things and a lot of caravans and camper trailers. If your rim and wheel nuts are of the tapered type and it is typically stud-centric, it doesn't mean that you can't fit it onto a spigot attached drum. In actual fact, we'd prefer that because it means that you do get the benefit of both methods of fixing. Now, in the caravan and camper trailer industry, it is pretty uncommon that many manufacturers will have a hub-centric ability. But here at Cruisemaster, we can do pretty much most options. Now, the common is Land Cruiser 6, Cruiser 5, Nissan Patrol, stuff like that. And that's a 110 spigot, and that's a bigger diameter there. So if it is something that you're interested in getting, make sure you specify it at the point of order. In addition to the differences in the drums and in the wheels, there is quite a bit of a difference between a hub-centric and a stud-centric wheel nut. This is a hub-centric nut, and it's got a flat face and a parallel shank which goes into the wheel. This allows the centralizing aspect of the hub-centric location to do its job, whilst this just holds the wheel on. On a nut for a stud-centric application, the taper is there to do the alignment and the nut also holds the wheel on. So it's doing two things in one job. Our preference, if possible, is to use the hub-centric method, as we believe this is going to give you the best combination of wheel concentricity, wheel holding and clamp force, as well as in those overload situations, it'll give you a bit of a backup as well. Another important aspect of mounting the wheel to the hub or drum is the interaction between the wheel nut and the stud. Now, this is something which has caught us here before and quite a few of our customers, in that you need to make sure that when the stud is inside the nut, that the stud isn't bottoming out on the inside cap like this one here. If it does that, it might mean that that has gone aground before the wheel is adequately clamped to the drum face. And if that happens, you might torque it up, you think it's done, but it isn't. The wheel is actually loose, and that will mean that it could potentially shear the wheel studs off as you're going down the road and you'll lose the wheel. Not a good thing. So I advise that if you're putting new wheels that you haven't before onto your Caravan, that you run the nut down first and make sure that it goes an adequate depth to properly clamp the wheel. This is really important. So we have the spigot mount option on quite a few of our drums and discs here at Cruisemaster, that if it's something that you want to look into when you're buying your Caravan, make sure you talk to your dealer or manufacturer about it. If you want a bit more information and the options available, give the team here at Cruisemaster a call. We'll be happy to help you out. We're always doing these types of technical videos trying to show you our products and all the things that go into them, so make sure you keep an eye out on YouTube and Facebook so you don't miss them.